Hi, my name's Mark Willows from Clocks for Classics, and in this video I'd like to run through some fault finding procedures for our tacho repair kits. Now this video applies to both the Easy Fit and the Unitacho kits that we supply, and here I have an Easy Fit kit fitted to an RVI type tacho, but the things I'm going to run through today apply equally well to both types of kit and to all tachos. Now, probably the first thing to say is please do be aware of our written instructions on our website. I'm sure you will have seen the videos, but there are also quite a comprehensive set of written instructions, and these have some extra detail in them, so please do download them. And when you receive one of our kits, you'll receive a slip of paper, something like this. This is from an Easy Fit kit, and there's a link there on the website that tells you where to go to find those instructions. And it's worth being aware that there are actually two sets of instructions for each kit. There are the kit fitting instructions, which tell you how to fit the kit to the tacho, but there are also the vehicle installation instructions, and they tell you how to fit the tacho into the vehicle, and they have wiring diagrams. So please do download both sets of instructions. Now, if you have a look at the kit fitting instructions and scroll towards the end, you'll see that there's a fault finding chart there. And I'm just going to use that to run through some of the issues we'll talk about today. So I guess the first issue that you may encounter if you fitted your kit, the first thing you're going to want to do is to calibrate it. That's done using the calibration button. On this kit, that's just there. And you hold that button down and then release it, and you should then see the needle slowly move around the scale, as you'll see in our other videos. Now, what happens if you press and release that button and you don't see that movement? Well, there's a few things you can just check. The first thing is just to make sure that you're operating the button in the right way. You actually need to hold it down for 5 seconds before you release it, and it's only when you release it that the calibration procedure will start. Now, don't expect the needle to move straight away. There may well be a bit of a delay, and that's specific from tacho to tacho, and that's because different tachos require different amounts of current to start the needle moving. So you may have to wait several seconds, sometimes up to 30 seconds before that needle starts to move, and when it does move, it will probably move very slowly, so do be patient and wait for that to happen. Now, assuming that you've used the button correctly and if you waited for the needle to move, if it still doesn't move, there are a few other things that you can check. First thing is obviously to make sure that you have the tacho wired up correctly. So for calibration, you just need to connect these two wires, the red and the black wire, the similar wires on the Unitacho, and you need to connect the red wire to a 12 volt supply and the black wire to 0 volts. And you can do that using a car battery, or if you have a bench power supply, you can use that. What you mustn't do is try and use something like a phone charger or a battery charger. They don't provide the right sort of supply. They might say 12 volts on them, but the sort of supply they give out is not compatible. So you need to use either a battery or a good regulated bench power supply. So assuming you've connected the tacho up properly and you've pressed the button and released it, what else might stop the needle from moving? Well, one obvious thing that we do see from time to time is simply that the needle is jammed. So it's worth checking with your finger that it's free. It could be that the needle's become bent and is hitting against the case. But the other thing that does sometimes happen is, if I try and get this in view, when I move the needle, you'll see the mechanism moving there. Now, if something is impinging against that mechanism, that can stop the needle moving. And one thing that people sometimes have a problem with is that when they've wired the kits to the tacho, they leave a stray wire that is in the way there, and that can just prevent the needle from moving, or it might move a little way and then stop. So just look out for that, because that's a simple reason why the needle may not move during calibration. So I guess the next thing that can go wrong is that you have a poor connection between our circuit board and the tacho. Now these are connected using these gel connectors, or IDT connectors as they're sometimes called, and these do provide a very reliable connection. They're used in large numbers in the telecom industry, but there are a couple of things to be aware of when you're fitting them. So I've just got an example connector here, and I'm going to see if I can zoom in on that so that you can see better. Let's try getting that in focus. There we are. The things you need to make sure of when you're using these is, first of all, the wires must be unstripped before you insert them. Don't strip them, leave the insulation on. And then when you push the wires in, make sure you push them right to the very end of the connector. You can actually see inside of the connector on the back there that the wires are pushed right to the end, so that's important. And then the final thing is that when you press the button down on the top of the connector, make sure that you press it well down and press it all the way round. You need to do it with a pair of pliers, you can't do it with your fingers, and you just need to get a pair of pliers on there and press centrally, but also all the way round the edge to make sure it's well pressed down. And as long as you do that, you should get a good connection. Now if you're not sure, if you suspect that you may not have got a good connection and you've got a multimeter, then you can fairly easily check. You can just put one probe on the circuit board on the pad where one end of the wire is, and you can put the other probe at the other end of the connection, and if you put your meter onto a resistance range, then you should see something close to 0 ohms. So fairly easy to check that out. But in general, as long as you use those connectors and make sure that the wires are pushed in and you press the button all the way round, you shouldn't have a problem. It's also important to make sure that you've connected the wires the correct way round. Now this can be a little bit confusing because the colours on these tachos are not always correct. Usually the red wire is the positive wire, and you will therefore connect it to the orange wire from our circuit board. And usually the black wire is the negative wire, and that will connect to the white wire from our circuit board. But sometimes the colours on the tacho wires are sometimes incorrect, and that's why in our videos, in our instructions, we tell you to check that with an AA battery. Now as long as you do that check and note down which way round those wires are, then you won't have a problem, but please do be aware of that. Now one thing that can occasionally happen is that when you come to do the calibration, the needle does move, but it doesn't move as you expect. So if you've looked at our calibration videos, you'll see that what should happen is that when you release the calibration button, the needle should move very slowly but smoothly around the scale. But occasionally what can happen is it can move erratically. So it might stick and then suddenly jump, or it might get to a point and then not move any further, but it doesn't move smoothly. Now this is caused by dirt in the tacho bearings, and it's important to note that you can't actually feel this by moving the needle. If you move it by hand, it may seem fine, but the forces involved are very, very small, and you won't be able to feel it, but it's enough to upset the calibration. Now the solution to this is to clean the bearings, and if you look in our fitting instructions, at the end there's an appendix, and that contains details on how to go about the cleaning. Since the movement is very delicate, we actually recommend that you don't disassemble it, but instead you use a spray cleaner. Now the important thing is to use the right type of cleaner. You need to use a cleaner that doesn't leave a residue. So you can use car brake cleaner or carb cleaner or a non-residue contact cleaner. But don't be tempted to use a maintenance spray like WD-40, because that will cause a lot more problems. And what you need to do is you need to use a cleaner that has a straw on the can, and you need to clean at both ends of the shaft that moves the needle. If I zoom in here, I will try and show you. Yeah, you can see the shaft just down in there, and you need to spray at both ends of that. And when you've sprayed it, you need to work the needle backwards and forwards a few times, let the cleaner dry, and then you will need to recalibrate. Now you may need to try this procedure 2 or 3 times, but it is usually very effective. If you happen to have an ultrasonic cleaner, you can also use that, and again there are details in the appendix on how to go about this. And again, you need to make sure that you don't clean it in any kind of fluid that will leave a residue. So usually it's best just to use plain water. And also it's best to remove the dial in order to get the best result. And there are details in that appendix on how to remove the dial. So we've covered the issues you may come up against when you're calibrating the tacho, but what happens if you've calibrated it correctly and you put it in the vehicle and it doesn't, the needle doesn't move? And really there's just 2 things that comes down to. So first of all, it's the obvious thing of making sure that you've got a good supply, a good 12 volts and 0 volt connection. On that, it's just worth being aware that if your tacho hasn't been working in your car for some time and you've used the existing 12 volt feed from the car, it may well be that the fuse on that feed has blown, so check that, or check with a voltmeter that you've got the 0 and 12 volts on that red and black wire to the circuit board. The other issue is the connection of the blue wire. Now the blue wire has to connect onto the ignition coil, and it's important that it's connected to the right side of the ignition coil. If you look in the vehicle installation document, it shows you, it's got some diagrams, it shows you which terminal to connect to, and that varies depending on whether you've got a positive or negative earth car and whether you have contact breakers or electronic ignition. On a negative earth car, it's the same whether you have contact breakers or electronic ignition, it always connects to the coil negative terminal. But on a positive earth car, it's different for contact breakers and electronic ignition. So take a look at those diagrams. But if you're unsure, then the easy thing to do is just try the blue wire on the other coil terminal. You won't cause any damage if you connect it to the wrong one. So just, if you're not sure and it doesn't work, try it on the other coil terminal. What you mustn't do is move any of the other wires on your coil, because if you have electronic ignition and you change the wires around on the electronic ignition, then you can damage the electronic ignition. So only move this blue wire from our circuit board. You can try that on either coil terminal. And as I say, you can also look in the vehicle installation document, and that shows you which terminal to connect it to. So really those are the only things that can realistically go wrong. If you find when you use the tachometer that it's showing that the reading is incorrect, then that would almost certainly come down to the calibration being incorrect. Possibly you may have calibrated it for the wrong number of cylinders on the car. So I hope that's been helpful, and thank you for watching.